Hello, and welcome to another video from 3.5 Archive. Today, we're going to be doing our 77th D&D 3.5 Prestige class review. And we're going to be looking at the Cavalier Prestige class from the Complete Warrior Sourcebook. Cavaliers have trained themselves to be the pinnacle in mounted warfare, and they generally serve some greater power such as a nobleman, a deity, or some military order. As a result, all Cavaliers need to be of lawful alignment, and also to be a Cavalier you're going to need a +8 base attack bonus, and you're going to need 4 ranks in Handle Animal, 4 ranks in Knowledge, Nobility, and Royalty, and 6 ranks in Ride. You're also going to need the feats Spirited Charge, Weapon Focus, Lance, Mounted Combat, and Ride by Attack. Fortunately, none of these feats have any other prerequisites that you need to worry about, so those will be the only 4 feats that you need. But that's still a pretty tall order. Even by level 8, it's going to be hard for a character to get all those feats together. So looking at the Cavalier, this Prestige class does offer you an option to advance your special mount from being a Paladin. And if you do come into this Prestige class as a Paladin, you can later continue advancing as a Paladin later, which usually, like with Monk, once you start multi-classing out of it, then that's it. You can't advance any further in that class. So this is an exception. So this is a Prestige class meant for Paladins, but Paladins are going to have trouble getting into it. If you play a human Paladin of level 8, then you will be able to get all of these feats, but those will be all of your feats. And assuming that you are playing Dungeons & Dragons, you are going to be going into a lot of dungeons, and bringing a horse into a dungeon generally isn't a good idea, mostly due to space concerns. So one way to use this Prestige class would be for you to be a halfling on a riding dog instead, which you can do. You could be a halfling paladin with a riding dog special mount, and that would be a good way to adapt this Prestige class to being in the dungeon. The issue is that a halfling's not going to get that human bonus feat, so he's going to have to take an extra level of paladin before he can start taking levels in Cavalier. So you're going to need either 8 or 9 levels of paladin. Alternatively, as a halfling, you could take 4 levels of fighter and then 4 levels of paladin. Or 3 levels of fighter and 5 levels, so you get your special mount. And then once you start taking levels in this Prestige class, you've already got all the other feats that you want squared away. Probably get some weapon specialization and power attack as well to help you out, which you're definitely going to need as a smaller sized halfling. The strength penalty and smaller weapon damage die are a disadvantage, but again, the improvement in not having to worry about taking up too much space in a corridor is going to more than make up for it. So with all that in mind, let's take a look at what you get from being a Cavalier. You get a D10 hit die, full base attack bonus, and good fortitude and will saves. So this is continuing with the stats of the Paladin. You're going to get, at level 1, the special mount ability, which lets you stack your levels in this Prestige class with Paladin for determining the abilities of your special mount. And you're also going to get mounted weapon bonus, Lance +1. So the mounted weapon bonuses are an extra competence bonus you get on your attack rolls when using specific weapons while mounted. It advances your lance and your sword. This applies to any swords. And being able to get this little bit of extra attack bonus is going to help you land your blows when it really counts. When you make one attack after a charge, you're really going to want to make that attack hit. So this little bit of extra help is going to be good. It will more than make up for not being maybe a fighter with greater weapon focus and melee weapon mastery later on. You're also going to get a ride bonus of +2, so you get +2 competence bonus on your ride checks, which improves throughout the levels as Prestige class as well. And you're going to get courtly knowledge, which lets you add your class level to your knowledge, nobility, and royalty checks. And this is just flavor for the most part, and it's pretty rare that you're going to be asked for a knowledge, nobility, and royalty check. A lot of dungeon masters forget that this skill even exists, and they'll ask for a knowledge local check instead, or knowledge history, or something else. So that feature is pretty much just there for flavor. But getting an extra +1 to hit with your lance and an extra bonus on your ride checks is a good start. At level 2, you're going to get Deadly Charge once per day. And this is going to let you declare a deadly charge before making a mounted charge. And if so, and then you hit, you do triple damage with a melee weapon or quadruple damage with a lance. This doesn't stack with Spirited Charge, it's just an improvement to it. And it basically just gives you an extra 100% damage on any mounted charge that you make, which is pretty great. And as we'll see throughout the levels of this Prestige class, this ability will improve as well, getting extra damage and more uses per day. So once per day isn't great to start out, especially with all the investment you put in. But then again, the feats that you took are a pretty solid investment for a mounted character. I mean, those are the feats that you're going to want to take. A lance is a great weapon. Also at level 2, you're going to get mounted weapon bonus sword +1, so you're going to get an extra +1 to hit when using swords while mounted, which is good. At level 3, you're going to get burst of speed. This lets you urge your mount to greater than normal speed. It doubles the maximum speed that your mount can travel while making a charge, up to 4 times its speed. You can use this once per day without penalty, but then after that, each additional time you try to use it, they have to make a DC 20 will save immediately after, or take 2d6 points of damage from presumably exhaustion, although that would be more of a fortitude save. A little bit of a strange ability, and you could potentially kill your mount doing this, so you do need to be careful. It's not going to be that useful since most D&D fights take place inside of dungeon corridors, which tend to not be much larger than the size of a battle map. And if you're on a horse, for example, you're going to be able to easily cross that distance with a regular charge. But sometimes there are gigantic overland battles in your party, and you will make use of this. Though for most intents and purposes, this is going to be pretty much a dead level. You're not going to use this feature that much in most campaigns. At level 4, you're going to get a second use per day of Deadly Charge. Your ride bonus is going to go up to +4. Having a second use is going to be a game changer. You can now, decide which of your two of your four encounters you want to use it in, rather than saving it for the last one. So that's nice. Further uses per day are just going to fill it in, so that you might be able to end an encounter in one round. You might be ending multiple encounters in a single round, which can be nice. At level 5, you're going to get a mounted weapon bonus +2 with your lance. And then at level 6, you're going to get Deadly Charge 3 times per day, and you're going to get full mounted attack. This lets you make a full attack when your mount moves more than 5 feet, but no further than a single move action would carry it. And you can't combine this full attack with a charge. Unfortunately, you can't do, mounted pounce with spirited charge and deal out ungodly amounts of damage. They did think of that. But still, as a secondary thing to making a charge attack, this is still nice. You can still move around the battlefield and slash your foes to ribbons. So this is a nice, second kind of signpost or milestone on this prestige class to get this feature. You also get your mounted weapon bonus +2 with your sword. It's a level behind the lance, which makes sense. At level 7, your ride bonus goes up to +6, so you're going to have an insane bonus to ride. The example character given is a level 8 fighter, level 2 Cavalier, and they've already got a +15 to ride. If they continued all the way to 10 levels in this prestige class and kept improving their ride skill, then as a level 18 character, it looks like they would have a total of +31 to ride, which is going to be able to make pretty much every DC in the game. And with mounted combat, you're going to be able to stop your mount from getting hurt at all, at least once per round. At level 8, you're going to get Deadly Charge 4 times per day. Another use of that, which is good. At level 9, you're going to get the final bonus to your mounted weapon with your lance, and that's going to be +3, and then have a ride bonus of +8. And then at level 10, you're going to get Unstoppable Charge 5 per day. So this is going to improve your Deadly Charge, and now you deal quadruple damage with a melee weapon or quintuple damage with a lance. So presumably you can't combine this with the Shock Trooper feat and sink, all of your armor class into power attack instead of base attack bonus and do just an incredible, maybe +100 damage with a spirited charge. But even so, I mean, this is a great improvement to a feat which is already pretty strong. If you're coming into this with a halfling character and you position yourself smartly at the start of combat, or you take a feat that lets you turn during a mounted charge, or maybe even take levels in the halfling outrider prestige class, although you need to get 10 levels in that to get their ability that lets you turn while charging. So that's probably not going to be viable for a character here unless you want to drag this into epic levels, and it's just not a very good strategy. You're also going to get +3 with your sword while mounted, which is nice. You're going to get really good attack bonuses out of this prestige class, which somewhat makes up for not taking more levels in fighter to get some of those extra fighter feats that raise your attack bonus up above normally where they should be able to get. But if you're coming into this as a paladin, then you're going to be in great shape. If you come into this as a fighter, you're still going to be doing pretty well. Overall, looking at this prestige class, it's fairly well structured. It does have some really great features like the Deadly Charge, and it also has some mediocre, flavorful features like your bonus to ride and to knowledge, nobility, and royalty. The burst of speed is the only feature that's kind of useless, but it is there as a sort of backup, as a sort of utility feature. The full mounted attack is good for the rounds where you're not going to be charging. And while it might not be the best charging option in the game, I mean, charging on foot with Lion Totem Barbarian is obviously better. To have fun with a mounted character, this prestige class is a great option. While Cavalier is a, one-word named prestige class and coming up as a base class in Pathfinder, it might seem a little bit odd that this is a prestige class rather than a base class, seeing as it is a base class in Pathfinder, but the requirements are generic enough and the features are generic enough that it does make sense as the Cavalier class for the game. It doesn't feel really specialized or pigeonholed into one particular thing other than making a mounted charge, which is what being a Cavalier is pretty much all about. So overall, the Cavalier is going to get 3 stars for concept and 4 stars for execution. It gives you a solidly powerful ability with some utility and flavorful abilities alongside it. It's not amazingly powerful, and it does have some pretty steep requirements, but you are flexible on how you get into this, and it does improve your Paladin special mount, which is really important, and that was a smart idea of them to include that. So overall, the Cavalier is recommended if you somehow do manage to get into a campaign where mounted combat is a viable strategy. If you are going into a lot of dungeons and you can find a way to get at least one direction change during a charge from a feat or some other ability, then that will be good for a halfling or other small-sized Cavalier to use a riding dog or something like that. So that way you can be a medium-sized character and not take up as much space, or a medium-sized creature when you're on your mount, rather. But that's going to be about it for this D&D 3.5 Prestige class review. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and so on. And I will see you next time here on 3.5 Archive.